What's up YouTube, this is Joe from Zephyr Digimon. I'm bringing to you guys my Dinomon deck profile, or what you could also say, Tyrannomon deck profile. So we had a very fun little thing at locals, the most recent locals on Monday. And so like me and myself and two of my friends, other Joe and Lewis, we all thought it'd be funny if we just all took Dinomon to locals. Just kind of like, take over with the dinosaur, you know what I mean? So we did that. We all played like a slightly different variant of the Dinomon. This is not the build that I took. This is like what I'm gonna, you know, be playtesting now that I've, had a good feel of Dinomon himself, that kind of thing. The build I took was just very bare bones, kind of like a generic, just turbo into Dinomon with 4 members, 4 trainings, all that jazz, kind of thing. And, I had a little slight tweak, like, funny gimmick of using Dinomon for my low end, but it didn't pan out too well. I kind of did quite horribly. But that's not important. The important thing is I learnt my lesson. So yeah, this is like gonna be my unique take on trying to play Dinomon for at the moment. I kind of gone with a unique base for it, as you will see as I get into it. But yeah, there's tons of different ways to play Dinomon. That's kind of like what I wanted this deck profile to kind of be. Not so much as like, this is what happened, this is what I played. More like, I played the deck and I'm trying out something new, so you can also see, there's many different ways of building this this Digimon's deck. So you can take this idea and either use it yourself, change it up a bit, or play something completely different. It's completely up to your personal preference, as with all of my deck profiles are. So before I get into this, if you enjoy this, give us a like and subscribe down below, and ding that notification bell so you don't miss out on any other future content here on the channel. So with all that said and done, let's get into Dinomon. As always, we're going to go backwards from the eggs, so just putting this in order. Starting off with the eggs, I've gone for a green base at the moment, so I'm going with the 4 copies of Dinomon. You could play Coromon, which then means every rookie in this deck can evolve for 0, but the Coromon doesn't necessarily do anything for you other than when you're attacking, look at the top card of your deck, put it on top or bottom. You can do some funny things with that using Tyrannomon X and Riotoro, but I just wanted to go for a good consistent egg for the deck, and that's why I got for Dinomon. All turns, if you're suspended, plus 2000, meaning that your Dinomon at base is being a 14k wall at most consistent times, which is very, very handy, and it makes it a little bit harder for your opponent to get around. So we've got 4 copies of Dinomon. As with all Dinomon decks, you're going to play 4 copies of the EX8 Agumon. This looks at the top 3 cards of your deck. And you can add a dinosaur or reptile or Tyrannomon name and 1 Riotoro into your hand. So the cool thing is that he does search for reptiles, which means he can search himself and any other reptiles you choose to play in the deck. But you're mostly using this to search your 4s and above, as well as Riotoro. He does evolve for 1 on the Dinomon at all times, and so you can only evolve for 0 on the Coromon. But this is your searcher, so you're always going to be wanting to hard play this. So you're not really minding too much that you have to evolve for 1. So yeah, it's not too bad. Let me see, try and zoom out a bit. Oh, too far. There we go. Yeah, so you don't mind too much for the 1, but yeah, you're always going to be hard playing this anyways at most times in the game, so it doesn't really come up too much. Because I've gone for green base, this is kind of what I've gone for. I've gone for 4 copies of Palmon and 4 copies of Palmon X. So other builders and other people I see, whenever they go for green base, they go for the Palmon and Tentomon, because the Tentomon essentially does what Palmon does. But Palmon X. But I quite like doing this because we have the base and the X. It means that for just 0 memory, we can draw 2 cards and evolve twice, which I think is a lot more beneficial for a deck like this, where it just wants to see its pieces and make a big stack. But so the reasoning for this is that Palmon at start of main, you can give one of your opponent's Digimon on suspension, -2 memory, and the Palmon X is on play and Evo suspended Digimon. So in combination, these two are an absolute amazing pair. So you put the neg on that, and then the Palmon X will, suspend it. You're never really going to get the inherent of the Palmon, where if you have a green tamer, you can digivolve for 1 less. But the Palmon X is at, oh no, you're even not going to get either because you don't play green tamers. So yeah, so you're mostly using this for the mains, and another reason a little bit later on. Moving on to level 4s. The level 4s and the rest of the deck is essentially, what you're going to see in most Tyrannomon decks. We're playing 4 copies of the EX8 Tyrannomon, 4 copies of Tyrannomon X, and 3 copies of the BT11 Tyrannomon. These essentially do everything that you want in a deck for Tyrannomon. It can evolve for 2. This one can evolve for 2 on your Agumon, otherwise it's always going to evolve for 3 memory. So it's a security Digimon, so it can play itself out after the battle. And start a main, and when digivolving, you can gain plus 3000 DP until the end of your opponent's turn, which is very, very strong. And then your Tyrannomon X is when attacking, it has raid as well. You can evolve for 1 on a Tyrannomon name without X antibody. And so when attacking, if you have Tyrannomon X antibody in your stack, you can digivolve into a dinosaur or Tyrannomon for 1 less in your hand, which is very, very powerful. Yes, so that is exactly what it does. So yeah, for 1 less. The inherent for him is just generic piercing, and this one is generic your turn plus 2000. And then this Tyrannomon is on play when digivolving. You may play a tamer card from your hand. With a play cost of 3 or less without paying the cost. And the inherent is while you have a tamer in play plus 2000 DP. Just a nice consistent Tyrannomon lineup. And because I just kind of put out, I'm all over the place in this profile. I am not with it today. Our ultimates is 3 copies of the EX8 Metal Tyrannomon and 3 copies of the EX8 Master Tyrannomon. So both of them have the dinosaur trait, this one being in the wall. And they both evolve for 3 memory on a dinosaur trait Digimon. So this is on play, and when digivolving, suspend a Digimon, and then if you're suspended, you get to digivolve 1 of your opponent's Digimon, and this Digimon can't be affected by the effects. It can't be returned to the hand or deck, or be affected by digivolve. The inherent is with most green and black ultimates at the moment is if it kills a Digimon battle, trash top security. Master Tyrannomon has Fortitude, and on play when digivolving, suspend Digimon, and if he's suspended, pop an 8000 or less, and the inherent is just generic set plus 1. So both of these are really nice. The reason why you're going for 4 and 3 is because A, we need to make space in the deck, and B, Master Metal Tyrannomon is overall the better card, as it does get you free trash, which is essentially still a sec plus 1, because you do have piercing, and then you get a slight bit of protection in your stack, which is very, very handy, especially when you're building up all the way into this bad boy, Dinomon. So Dinomon is kind of like what brought Tyrannomon into the actual game, essentially. So he is a 5+ Evo on a red or green levels 5. He can also though evolve for 4 memory on a Tyrannomon name or dinosaur trait, and he has Sac +1 and Fortitude, and on play and when digivolving, you may suspend a Digimon, then delete one of your opponent's suspended Digimon with the lowest DP, and then opponent's turn, while this card is suspended, all your opponent's Digimon must attack this card if they want to attack, which is very, very, very strong. He removes a threat. He has set +1, so he's doing lots of checks. He has Fortitude, which for new players out there means that if he dies, he gets to, and has sorted, you get to just revive him. So he just on-plays himself back from the trash, which then triggers his on-play effect. So what you tend to mostly do is swing with this, do your whole combo up with the Tyrannomon X. This guy is suspended. Then they have to attack into this. So this guy dies. He comes back. You're going to probably suspend himself, and then delete one of the lowest suspended Digimon, which then means if they want to attack, they have to attack into his card again. Yes, he has no sources, and that means if he dies, he's dead. But, you're a big, giant dinosaur, that is very hard to remove. I'm going to show you guys two other techs that you could play in this deck. Now, most standardly, if you're going to go competitively with Dinomon, your other mega is going to be the Medieval Garamon from EX8. This card's absolutely phenomenal card. This is ideally going to be your secondary boss monster at 2 copies. But alternatively, if you wanted to go on a more purist route, I think 2 copies of the BT11 Rust Tyrannomon is pretty cool as well, because you can just naturally evolve into this for a minus a cost of 1 thanks to your tamer. And then if he kills a Digimon battle, he gets to just unsuspend, which is really, really cool in all turns as well. So yeah, either one of those, completely up to your personal preference. For the last of the megas in the deck, I just gone with 1 Blitz Omni and 1 Omnimon X. These cards are just your end game finishes, and the Omnimon X comes in a little bit more consistently, as you'll see a bit later on. For the tamers, I'm going for 3 copies of Ryotaro from EX8. This is your main tamer of the deck. Now, you're probably thinking, why am I not 4 copies like everybody else? Ultimately, in the testing at locals, I just felt like I was seeing this card way too much. And I just felt like once you have 1 on the field, you're kind of fine, because the Tyrannomon X is doing essentially what Ryotaro is doing, and another card in the deck is also just doing what Ryotaro is doing as well. So I need a little bit less copies in the deck, so I had a bit more space to put other things. But Ryotaro is at start main if your opponent has a Digimon gain a memory, and your turn, one of your Digimon with Tyrannomon in its name attacks by suspending this tamer. One of your Digimon may digivolve into a Tyrannomon name in hand for the cost reduction of -1, which is very, very handy. The other tamer in the deck is not Memseta, it's Cool Boy. So this is why I've gone for also Battlemon X, Omnimon X. You know, I have 3 things that I can search in the deck thanks to Cool Boy, which then gives the little deck a little bit more consistency in terms of like trying to build up a stack and a bit more combo, as well as also getting me 3 memory and an extra draw. Only 2 copies because we don't have like a level 5 X antibody, unfortunately, and you can only search out Omnimon X. You can't actually search my level 6s. But I feel like the trade-off and the payoff warrants just a few copies of Cool Boy. It also means I get to also search 2 copies of X antibody in my deck, essentially meaning I don't need to have a Tyrannomon to make my Tyrannomon X live. I can just tuck this under Evolving Tyrannomon X for 3 memory if I need to, and swing with the Tyrannomon X. Now I have this in the sources, I can trigger Tyrannomon X's ability. It also means if I don't see Tyrannomon X, I can go with... actually, no, I can't, because I don't actually have thing. But yeah, this is mostly just to make Tyrannomon X a little bit more live, which is very, very handy for me. Then for the rest of the options is 2 copies of Green Memory Boost, 2 copies of Agility Training, and 1 copy of the Green Scramble. Because we've gone green base, we mean we can play arguably the most consistent card for searching in the deck, considering everything in the deck is green. So it's just adds a bit more consistency to the deck. Yes, that's the deck profile for my version of green-based Tyrannomon. I hope you all enjoy it. Leave your comments down below how you're playing Tyrannomon, and you know, what do you think is, you know, arguably the best way, or anything like that. You know, just get chatting about Tyrannomon. So, as always, like, comment, and subscribe. Till next time, as always, stay safe, and of course, happy dueling.